The American Hockey League is the Tier 2 pro hockey league in North America and is regarded as one of the best leagues in the world. In the last decade, we saw an increasing influence from the NHL in this league, as we see many ownerships and affiliations. It's been reformed to become a mini NHL with a focus on player development. The teams have access to state-of-the-art facilities and have great fans. The players often have multiple-way contracts that facilitate the movement upwards to the NHL and downwards to the ECHL. With these movements, there also comes a big lifestyle change, as there's a lot of bus traveling in the lower leagues and it's a totally different world in the NHL. The league is also trying to become younger, and there's a rule in place that states that only 5 players on each roster can have more than 4 years of experience in this league. Players that played in this league are usually top import players in Europe. Our next interview will be with Don McLean. Don can look back at a glorious AHL and hockey career. He's played in the AHL for over 10 years, also playing for 6 different NHL teams throughout the years. In 2006, he scored 61 goals in one AHL season, also being named the MVP of the league. It will be very interesting to hear from his experiences, as he has a very good idea how it is to play in the American League, in the NHL, and also in Europe. Hi Don, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so the first question will be, quickly explain your hockey career from the juniors to the pros.
Well, I grew up in East Coast Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia, and our minor hockey league systems, you have your local minor hockey league system, and then from there there's what we call now major midget, which is for 15, 16-year-olds. And then from there you have 2 options. Typically you go to junior A with the intent of going to Division I university in the States, or major junior. And now in the East Coast, Quebec League is a league you go to. And I spent 3 years in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. That would have been 95, 96, and 97. And tremendous experience. You know, it wasn't all easy. Not being able to speak the language. I grew up speaking English, and then Quebec, it was mostly French, so that was a struggle. But in 97, I was fortunate enough to play at the Hall Olympics, which is now the Gatineau Olympics, and we won the Memorial Cup in 1997, so that was a tremendous experience.
Did you also have an agent to manage all your transfers and contracts?
The process for that is, and it may have changed a bit since I've gone through, but when you're major midget around that age, so around probably 13, 14, 15, that's when the agents start coming around and watching you and potentially start their, sign the business agreements and then start directing, what the best route is for you. And when I was about 15, that's when I signed on with my agent. And he helped me direct what leagues to go to in the Quebec Major Junior, whether it needed to be a trade or any financial issue with the team or anything. So at a young age, they sign players and help direct through their careers.
And how are the contracts in the American Hockey League? Are they seasonal, weekly, daily? And did you have a feeling to have a stable contract, or did you never know where you're going to be the next month?
Well, for drafted players, now undrafted players may be different for drafted players, and if you sign with the team that drafts you, typically what happens is a 3-year entry level, and you'll see ELC, entry level contracts, and for 3 years you're with that club, whether it's the NHL right out of junior, or you go down to the American League or their East Coast League farm team. But typically you have 3 years contract with them, and depending how you do is if that contract's extended or if you're traded or released. Now once you're playing, like any professional, whether it be hockey to a sales company, you're only as good as your last day. In the professional sport and professional hockey, it's very cutthroat, and you're as good as your last day, so there's no guarantee you're going to be there for the whole time.
Who manages all of those transfers between the American Hockey League and the NHL? And is it also a big lifestyle change within those 2 leagues? or is it pretty much the same thing?
Well, there's obviously in the American League, you are the farm system for the NHL. So at any time that the NHL needs a player through whether a player is injured or sick or for whatever reason, then yes, they directly pull from their farm team, which is they're referred to at times in the American League, and they're called up at any moment's notice. I'm sure some call-ups may be pre-planned. Many of them, from my experience, were due to either injury or illness or something where a hole needed to be filled, and it's at a moment's notice. I've been in the middle of practice in the American League and been pulled off by our general manager and told to get on a plane or start driving and go to this place. So it's different. When I went through, there wasn't as much call-ups, and it was an older league in the American Hockey League. Nowadays, I think you can see the shift to a younger NHL, in which in turn is a younger American League, and players are going back and forth more often.
How is the lifestyle in American Hockey League? Where do you live? In apartments or hotels? And what about the girlfriend or family?
Well, North America is much different than in Europe. In North America, you sign a contract. The team will support you or direct you wherever you can, but in the end, it's on you to find a place to live, a car if you wish, and all that kind of stuff. You know, from if you have kids, then obviously your wife will be with you or your girlfriend, depending on everybody's personal lifestyle. But it's no, you're on your own basically, and then versus when you go to Europe where there's more supports and it's more dealt with the team. Our day-to-day, it's much like any other job. Once you find your place to live, your coach, your team will dictate practice times, and you're expected to be there and expected to work 100%. Much like any other job.
How can you compare the North American leagues like the NHL and the American League to the various European leagues?
Well, the American League to the NHL, well, obviously the NHL is the best, in my opinion, the best league in the NHL, in the world, I mean. But it's funny, I've been back and forth at different times, and from my experience, I found the NHL to be much, much faster. But, and I don't want to say easier in that word that's easy, but easier to play. And what I mean by that is, in the NHL level, everybody does their job. You know where your guy is going to be, but it's done at a much faster pace. With the American League, player 1 to player 20, the depth chart's a little wider gap than the NHL. It's a fast league, great league, but they're still developing, they're still learning. So it's a little more, there's more learning mistakes. So at times it can be a little more difficult to play. NHL, you're flying, you're staying in 5-star hotels, there's no expense spared. Where the American League now, you're playing 3 games in 3 nights in different cities, you're on a bus, you're not eating as well, and you're sleep. You really have to take care of yourself, and you have to take it on your own, because you're on the bus. There's nights you'll play Friday night somewhere, get on the bus, get off the bus at 5 a.m. The next night you're playing, get on the bus, then the next afternoon you're playing. So it's a grind. I wouldn't change it for the world. I played there for a long time and thoroughly enjoyed my time there. To Europe, when the quick snapshot difference I found in Europe, the team takes care of your apartment, supplies a car, that's all within the contract. And then every country, you could go country by country, has their own leagues and own characteristics and how things are operated. So it's much different.
And what about the hockey level and the hockey game style? Can you compare the North American leagues to the European leagues?
There's definitely, like I said, each league is different in Europe. Like a Swiss league, for example, I went to, that was a tremendous fast league. That's one of the top leagues in the world. Where maybe the EBL or different leagues aren't as high level, but all leagues. I find if you take a look at it, you have to decide what kind of player you are or what you want to be and where your level is. Because like the NHL, you have the NHL American League, East Coast League. Europe will probably be ranked with the KHL to the Swiss League, the DEL, the Swedish, the SHL, or over in Finland, they have high level leagues, but each league has its own brand. From my experience, like the Finnish league would be different from the Swiss league would be different from the DEL would be different from probably the Italian league. So I think you've got to do your homework on what type of player you are. Like, for example, the Finnish league I found to be very similar to North America. It was a hard-nosed league, one-on-one compete, well run, where the Swiss league, maybe it's much faster and has a different open style, but you have tremendous players there because obviously the teams in that league, their budgets allow higher end players versus say the Hungarian league.
Was the American League really the league you expected it to be as a junior, or was the reality much different? Is there an advice you would give to a junior A player that is looking to go to that league?
The American League, well, obviously when you grow up, your goal, and obviously for Canada, North America, your goal is to play in the NHL, and that's where you strive to. But there's always a path to get there, and some of us don't always get there. The American League, my first advice to any hockey players, you've got to take your own career in your own hands and do what you have to do professionally and personally to be in the best possible shape, because playing at those high levels, it's a day-to-day, you have to bring your best. But as far as the American League, the development has totally changed in my mind since the mid-90s. Now it is about development, and there's nothing but the best for these kids as far as nutrition, on and off the ice, conditioning. The coaches and the knowledge that's out there is second to none, and it's like the American League for me was I can't complain. The American League was it's given me what I have in life here in hockey, so it's been great. But it's a battle. It's a battle. You've got to work for it every day and compete.
That was it from our part. So thank you, Don. It was really interesting to hear from your experiences.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, that was it from Don. It was great to hear from his experience in American League. He's played all over the place, so he's been through it all basically. And it's interesting to see that the American League, even though being such a great and very skilled league, it's still a grind, so many people looking for that jump to the NHL, and it's a battle to get one of those prestigious spots.